Hi, good morning, everyone. First, I'm Manali Dongre. I'm the program manager for lifecycle services. And today I'm going to walk you through the customer lifecycle journey with LCS. I want to say thank you for staying through till Friday and attending this morning session. So great. Hopefully, this gives you an overview of LCS as well as what is sort of the focus area from a product perspective that we're planning to do for the next 3 to 6 months. So with that, just wanted to quickly understand how many of you all have used LCS for Dynamics 365 today? Okay, just a couple of hands. So hopefully for folks that already know, this will give you more details into some of the features that you might have seen missing. And for others, it gives you a good overview of what LCS provides. So for those who don't know about LCS, lifecycle services is basically a collection of tools and services that helps a customer or partner through their Dynamics 365 implementation journey. It helps you be predictable. It helps you get automated, as well as be proactive about issues and stuff like that. LCS actually caters to a lot of different personas. We have sort of the customer in there. We have partner. We have the IT administrator. We also have some features that our internal service engineering tools, service engineering team uses on their day-to-day basis to perform their tasks. So with that, I was planning to cover a bit more details into what tools LCS provides, and then cover the Dynamics 365 Cloud ALM journey and what are sort of the 5 key stops along the way, what features and functionalities we've added for that. This next part that I'm going to cover is the ALM journey for Dynamics 365 on premises, a solution that we released. We went GA July 1st. Then I have a couple of demos lined up, key takeaways, and then I want to leave some time for Q&A. So with that, LCS used to release on a monthly cadence. We've now moved to a bi-weekly release cycle. What that means is that basically you'll see a lot more features that will come out at a faster cadence. The tools that LCS provides fall into 4 phases of the customer implementation journey. You have the discover, the define, the build, and the operate phases. The discover phase is where the ISV partner persona comes in. LCS provides features to help the ISV publish their solutions on AppSource. So we have a lighter AppSource integration out there. There is partner-led trial, customer trials, and I'll talk a bit more about that in detail in sort of the next section here. The next is the define phase. This is where you've now bought probably licenses for Dynamics 365, and you're in LCS, and you're doing your project onboarding. This is where you're going to do your system configuration and data configuration. The next phase is the build phase. This is where your ALM actually starts. That's where your environment deployments happen. We have tools that help you with code upgrade and so on. Once the ALM part, the portion of that is over and you've gone live, there are features that help you to stay operational on a day-to-day basis. So features like issue search help you search for issues. You have support. You have monitoring and diagnostics. And we'll get into details about each of these areas in a bit here. So with that, let us begin the Cloud ALM journey with LCS. Stop number 1, click, try, buy. This is just like any journey. You're going to figure out which solution makes sense for your business. And we have a couple of options that allow you to basically try out the product that's out there. So the first one is customer-focused trials. This is directly available for end users to go and get their hands on a Dynamics 365 implementation through the D365 marketing page directly. So you can just go to the marketing page, click on Get Started, enter a couple of credentials, and you're ready to go at that point. You actually can go ahead and play. You have guided task guides that help you walk through certain key business processes and scenarios. The second one on that list is partner-led trial. Basically, a partner can come into LCS, get an LCS project, get Azure subscription, and deploy environments. Then based on the customer's industry and vertical, they can set up a customized trial for that customer and basically give them an environment to play around with. They can do this all through LCS flows where they can come ahead and do their own deployments and set it up as they want. The third one is app source-based trial. So app source is the app marketplace from Microsoft. And ISVs can publish their solutions on app source. The way they create these solutions is through LCS. But right now, we have sort of a lighter integration. So for folks that have seen this before, if you go to AppSource today, a lot of the solutions, if a customer wanted to come and just try out something, they would have to click on Contact Me. They'd enter their credentials. That goes to the ISV. The ISV then contacts the customer back, and that's when the actual testing of that, the actual trial of that particular solution begins. However, we recently released sort of integrated with the test drive feature that AppSource provides. So now for Dynamics 365 for finance and operations as well, if there is an app that's published on AppSource, a customer could come in, click on test drive, and go ahead and try that out. And I have a video out here just to give you a perspective of how that looks. So let me go ahead and get that started. So this is sort of an app source where I've filtered through the Dynamics 365 finance and operations. I want to try out what CPQ is. I can go ahead, click on test drive, acknowledge sort of the licensing from that particular ISV vendor, and it goes ahead and sets up a test drive for me. It's definitely, it's not like in that 1 second as you saw there, but definitely it's sort of the 5 seconds to sign up and 5 minutes to wow experience. Now you've ended up in an actual working Dynamics 365 instance where you have certain key marquee scenarios that have been highlighted for you to come and try. That's a great selling aspect for ISVs as well. So with that, let's sort of move to the next stop. At this point, let's assume you've tried out Dynamics 365 and you've purchased the licenses because you know what you want. And this is where you're going to start your project onboarding. This is the first time you kind of come into LCS and get an LCS project that is provisioned for you. So we have some onboarding tools that LCS provides. The first one is basically context-specific projects created for implementation. What that means is LCS not only caters to Dynamics 365 for finance and operations, but it also caters towards other Dynamics 365 offerings, such as Dynamics 365 for retail, Dynamics 365 for talent. So depending on where you're at, that's the kind of project that gets created for you. Then we have the methodology, which gives you a guided walkthrough of what is, of how you're going to go about doing the implementations and what business practices, best practices that Microsoft provides and wants customers to follow as they go through their implementation journey. The third one is managing your business processes and configuration through the Business Process Modeler tool. I'm sure many of you all have seen the Business Process Modeler tool. We've made certain improvements there in terms of a new UI experience out there. But the key thing is all of this is integrated with the SDS. So that's something that we're really pushing for, where you have your business processes, your data configuration, all integrated with Visual Studio. So there is one place for tracking all of that. The next one is recently we've seen a lot of customers that want to have their business operations in different regions, and they have different IT administration teams that actually manage those deployments. And so we allowed projects to be created, multiple projects for different instances that you want to manage. So we have a multi-instance story as well. Just a quick view of what these different tools look like, and I'll sort of cover this in the demo as well. The third stop is manage your data. Now at this point, you've onboarded, you've completed your business process configuration and management, and now you want to go ahead and start managing your data. So there are a lot of tools or scenarios that customers and partners go through, which are split between their pre-go live and their post-go live. Pre-go live is where you're doing your golden configuration. That's where you're setting up your master data in probably your tier 1 dev test environment. And then you want to move this to your sandbox environment for validation. From there, move it to production. Another scenario is where you want to do point-in-time restore of your validation environments as you're in this pre-go live stage, just so that as you do your validations, you can move back to a point in time when it was configured correctly. Once you've gone live, then you have sort of the post-go live phase. This is where you do refreshing of your sandbox with a copy of production data. You also could request a copy of the production data for debugging, and also choose to move to a point in time of that production instance, so you could figure out when an end user reported an issue, I want to move to that particular timestamp that's there, and then actually troubleshoot from that point on. A lot of these scenarios today are enabled through LCS, but they are actually a request to our service engineering team. So a lot of our goal and focus is to actually automate these scenarios and make them self-serve, so you can actually go ahead and do them at your time and at your schedule at will through LCS. So this is our current focus. We're automating these data movement scenarios and making them self-serve from LCS. Actually, the next 3 to 4 months, you'll see a lot of these features start lighting up as self-serve actions. So we have sandbox refresh, which is taking a copy of your production data into your UAT environment for validation, and then also moving your golden configuration database from a tier 1 dev environment to your sandbox and then taking it through production. And these are features that we're planning to release as part of sort of the October release of LCS. The other thing is ability to roll back in case of failures and making that as well self-serve. So in case of any issues, you have a way to quickly move back to a state when everything was working well. The third one is setting up a schedule for recurring tasks. One of the feedbacks from customers has been is a lot of companies want to do, they want to have a schedule of sandbox refreshes that happen on a daily basis. And it's very difficult to go ahead and click it. I see some heads nodding out there. And it's very difficult to go ahead and do that, click the button every single day, have someone do it. So what this will do is let you set up a calendar of tasks that you want to do on a day-to-day basis. And in the background, it will go ahead and execute that task at the scheduled time. We also already have the auditing and the history capability in LCS. So with that, you should be able to track and see what was done on your environment either ways. So the next stop is keeping your environment current or managing your code. To give you an overview, we have sort of different types of updates, right? We have customizations, which ISVs and partners create. We have application code fixes that Microsoft releases, and we have updates to the platform. In LCS, there are different ways you can discover an update. So you have the issue search, which is basically a tool that you can use to search for issues. You can type in a KBE number, it'll show you this is the change that Microsoft released, what version it's applicable for. It can also, it allows you to download the fix as well as view what changes are a part of it. Then you have the update tiles. The update tiles are more environment specific, so it really shows you what updates are applicable to your environment based on the version that you have deployed. It is not generic, and that is sort of the key difference between what issue search provides and what update tiles are. And then we have the asset library. The asset library is sort of like a SharePoint for assets, so to speak. That's where you can go ahead and upload any of packages, database backups, and things that you have. Even Microsoft actually releases some of the platform updates in the asset library. Once you've sort of figured out which update that is the one that you need to apply, we have an automated update experience in LCS that allows you, with the click of a button, to go ahead and apply an update in your tier 1, tier 2 environments. And then also for production, you have to schedule the request and based on the downtime window. We have features that allow you to merge updates in the asset library, so you can select a couple of packages and then click on merge to actually merge that package and create one single package. We also have validation checks. Basically, the idea here is to actually, in the automated flows, We want to make sure that you're doing your testing and the automated flows are built in a way that ensure that. So if you're moving a package to production, we make sure that the package has actually been applied on a sandbox environment and it has been signed off, which means that it was successfully applied and validated. Without that, you would not be able to move a package to production. Some of the other validation checks are if the package that you're trying to apply is incompatible with the actual environment that you have deployed, then it's going to flag it to you right away. That way you don't really end up messing your environment. So these are checks that we've inbuilt through our automated flows. And once an update is applied, you can actually validate the version of it in LCS or in the Dynamics 365 client. So what is the process for applying updates? So you have lifecycle services and Microsoft updates or the customizations that are available in LCS, either through the tiles or the asset library, as I mentioned earlier. And these are your environments. You have your dev test, you have your sandbox, which is where you're going to do a tier 2 or tier 2 plus sandbox environment where you do your validations in your production system. So sort of the first step is you could download the update onto your dev environment or the customization. You generate a build, a deployable package, as we call it, on your build environment, and you upload that to LCS. In LCS, in the asset library is where you're going to upload this asset, and then sort of use the asset library to share it either across your projects, across your organization, and that's what it's supposed to do. Then from LCS, you can actually go ahead and apply this on your sandbox environment. You can take a refresh of the production data, do your validations, sign off, check. You can also directly apply certain platform updates directly on your sandbox as well, just because it's a regular binary update. It's one of the things I do want to highlight is a lot of our, so our application code fixes that Microsoft releases are granular updates. So you can actually select which specific fix you want. When it comes to our platform or our binary updates, they're cumulative. So you don't get to choose the granular fix. You get everything at that point when you go ahead and select that. You can go ahead and apply it and then actually go ahead and release that to production. When you move it to production, you have to mark that particular package that has been validated as a release candidate and then sort of push it to production. So what is the current state? We've made significant improvements to reduce the actual downtime for applying updates. And one of the things is applying updates will be in less than an hour. This is something that we're releasing in the October release of LCS. So with that, I think you will see a significant reduction in your downtimes for production as well as other environments. We've hardened package deployment flows. Our engineering team is continuously monitoring if there are any issues and trying to fix any of the things that they see happening related to failures of packages that are being applied. And I also added support to roll back a failed package. So this was one of the big feedbacks that I'd received in the last conference is adding support for making it self-serve. It was something that the DSE team, our service engineering team did earlier, but now it's self-serve through LCS. This was released about a month back. With that, what is sort of the next focus that we're doing in the next 3 to 4 months time frame? Applying updates in near zero downtime. While we've made significant reductions, we want to get to the zero downtime model, and that's where we're going to focus on and invest in next. So I would say, in the next quarter or so, you should see some of those improvements light up where applying updates, especially if you don't have any schema changes and stuff, should just be in zero downtime. The next one is adding support for a package that has been successfully applied. This was another major feedback that we had from customers where you've applied a package, it applied successfully, but the validations were, on validations, you realize the validations actually failed. And you want to roll that package back. This is something that we're looking to add as well in the next quarter. The third one is releasing updates and rings. So today, if for folks that already know how we release platform updates, it's on a monthly cadence, and it's sort of this big bang approach, right? We make it available in LCS for everyone to try. We're moving, sort of changing that approach a bit to move to a rings release cadence. What that means is we have sort of this platform early access preview program, which gives partners and ISVs that have signed up for this program early access, sort of a pre-release access to this platform update. This is great because it gives you the ability to try out new features, and it also gives you the ability to check how the customizations work against a specific platform update that Microsoft has released. The next program on that list is the CAP program. This is the Continuous Auto Update Advantage program. What that gives customers that have signed up for this program, at this point, platform update is released. It's sort of GA quality code from Microsoft. At this point, for customers that have signed up for this program, Microsoft is the one that will actually apply the update on your environment. So for the designated environments, Microsoft will push the update to those to that selected tier 2 plus sandbox environment, as well as to your production environment. We want customers and partners to think of platform updates more like OS updates and think of it as truly a kernel level update, and that's sort of where we're going towards with the strengths model. As things get more final around these programs, we'll make it more sort of publicly available as well. The last stop is diagnosing environment health issues. So now that you've done all of your code, we have set features in LCS that allow you to actually monitor your environment's health as well as troubleshoot health issues. The way we do that is through telemetry data. One of the questions that we get asked is, what do I need to do to get this telemetry flowing? Actually, you don't need to do anything. Once an environment is deployed, all of this telemetry data automatically starts flowing through, and you'll see these features showing up in LCS. The telemetry data has multiple use cases. So we use it for monitoring, which is more real time. We have diagnostics, which is, as we call it, the warm path, which is primarily sort of with a 5 to 10 minutes delay. And then you have analytics, which is your cold path. That's where you're actually doing more of your usage analysis and things like that on. In the case of monitoring, we have environment availability and health monitoring that's set up on production environments. In case of any issues that are impacting customers' environments, notifications actually go to the service engineering team when an issue is reported. And the service engineering team is the one that then goes ahead and notifies all the stakeholders that I identified in LCS. So this is something that you'll start seeing that our service engineering team will communicate via email to key stakeholders in LCS, like the project owners, the environment managers, any additional stakeholders that have been listed. The next one is sort of the diagnostics, and this is where you have the storyboard view of, and then putting it, the environment monitoring portal basically allows you to put a storyboard view of the end user's activities. It lets you figure out, okay, from a timeline when the end user reported the issue, what is it that the user did? Did he click on a form? Was there a batch job running? And it gives you an idea of what exactly was happening in the system at the point when the issue was reported. The second one is SQL troubleshooting tools. So for customers that are familiar with 2012, then they know of a lot of performance troubleshooting tools that they use for actually doing that. So we're looking to add all of those capabilities in LCS. Actually, we added a feature which is right now in testing, which adds a lot of new performance metrics, like it gives you a view into what are the missing indexes on your system and what are the most expensive queries on your system. One of the things that will allow you to do that is right now we give you raw metrics as well as an embedded Power BI report is something that we're looking to add. There is performance timer, which is a feature in the client itself, which gives you a view to see what is the performance of certain calls going from the client to the server. And then there is system diagnostics, which is sort of this rules-based framework in lifecycle services, which gives you recommendations to say, hey, this is something that is not configured correctly on your environment. This is a recommendation that Microsoft provides, and this is how you can fix it. So that is something that the tools that are there in the diagnostics area. For analytics, right now, that is something that is available only within Microsoft, and we use some of that aggregated metrics for figuring out what is the feature performance, what is the feature usage, and make improvements based on that. So what is the current focus? Troubleshooting SQL performance issues with on-demand performance metrics and embedded Power BI views. So today, any of the performance metrics that we do show today in LCS, we have some, the SQL Insights view as well as the index metrics. But they're collected once a day. It's not on demand. So in a lot of cases, when you're doing, if the performance issue is happening now, there's no way to get access to those metrics. And so with this, you can actually go into LCS, you can trigger the collection of those metrics, and it will show you a lot of all of the things that I mentioned around your SQL, what query plans are being used, what are the missing indexes in your system. And that gives you a better view into what is actually going on in your environment. The other thing that we're doing also is, based on feedback, has been, there are some customers who prefer having views while others just want the raw data because they want to go ahead and dissect it the way they want. So in that case, you'll have sort of embedded Power BI views as well as access to the raw metrics as well. The other area is around performing simple actions directly through LCS. So because customers don't have access to a production system, if they want to add indexes, they have to go through the service engineering team. So there are certain actions, if we enable doing that through LCS, I think that will help a lot in terms of for us to scale as well as to partners to actually take immediate action on some of these performance issues that happen sometimes. The third point is around making the analytics information available to customers and partners. So one of the other areas has been from partners has been that we don't have a view across the different customers that are managed, as well as not a holistic view of what is going on in a customer's environment. So we want to look to enable some of the internal dashboards that we use into LCS to show this is a holistic view of the customer's profile. These are the environments they have deployed, these are the versions, these are the support incidents, and just give you a full picture of what is going on in that customer's environment. This is for folks that have not seen the current environment monitoring portal. This is sort of the activity dashboard of it, which actually shows you what are the end user activities that are going on, the user loads in the system. It tells you what form, what control, what action was taken, and what timestamp. That way you can actually build that timeline of sorts. This is the current performance monitoring dashboard view, which shows you the most expensive queries that I've executed on your system based on duration, logical I/O, CPU time, and it also gives you access to the actual backing SQL statement. Again, as I mentioned, this is something that runs once a day, but what we're enabling is more of an ability to collect it on demand. This is the Power BI dashboard view. I was able to get a screenshot from the developer who's actually working on it, kind of showing you what is in this particular case, it's showing you what is the execution time yesterday versus today to actually then figure out what was going in the system today in case the performance is going up.
Are these metrics based on dynamic perf, or are they like next gen?
So in most of the cases, these use the DMVs that SQL provides, and that's from the query store, SQL query stores where we're getting the metrics. Yep. It's completely different. Okay, so that was sort of the cloud ALM journey. Before I move on, actually maybe I'll cover the slides first. So the next topic that I want to cover is the ALM journey for Dynamics 365 on premises. So we went live with Dynamics 365 on premises in July timeframe, and the idea there was also to have LCS sort of be the key driver or sort of the place where you come and do your ALM for, and that's what we're trying to add more and more capabilities to what is already available in LCS. So today, for a customer that has purchased Dynamics 365 on premises, you have the ability, you set up your infrastructure, and you have the ability to deploy your environment from LCS. You get sort of frequent updates on your deployment status, and also if a partner wants to go ahead and try out what does it mean to actually set up an on-premises environment, they get access to a trial project. If you're a partner that's already signed up for a trial solution, you can go ahead and try it even today. Set up an on-prem solution, get an on-prem project, and go ahead and try the deployment story. What is coming next and what we're focusing on is also enabling applying updates on the on-premise environment through LCS. The point where we want to get to is remove the pain of actually having someone go ahead and orchestrate those updates on each environment and manage the success, the failure of it. With LCS, you can just come into LCS, and how you do it today for cloud, where you go ahead, select the package, apply it. We want to enable same features and functionality for on-prem solution as well. Have a more improved diagnostic story. Getting the same feature compatibility that we have for cloud for on-prem is difficult. But still, getting an improved diagnostic story where these logs are available to you in a single place, and you can actually go ahead and do the troubleshooting is something that we're looking to do. And also the ability to reconfigure existing deployments where your configuration is saved, and you can easily go ahead and reconfigure an environment that you have. So with that, I'm going to switch to the demo. So for folks that are new to LCS, this is sort of the Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations Enterprise Edition implementation project. What you see out here at the top is sort of the methodology. This is what I was talking about earlier, about actually showing you a guided walkthrough of showing you the what's and hows of implementation. It has specific tasks that you complete, and as you go through it, it actually lights up some of the features. On the right-hand side, you see the actual environments that are there. When you purchase a subscription, you get sort of a tier 1 sandbox or tier 2 sandbox, as well as a production environment, and that's what you see. If you want additional environments, you can purchase add-ons or get your own Azure subscription and deploy. The other tools that I spoke about was the business process modeler tool. These are sort of the business process libraries or frameworks that have a hierarchy of all of your business processes. You can make modifications to those as well and extend those, and then synchronize that with Visual Studio so you actually have your fit gap analysis identified and tracked in VSCS. This is sort of how the new UI for one of the business process library looks like. And it shows you whether it's reviewed. You can do all of your tracking out here. The next thing that I wanted to jump to was sort of some of the newer features. And this is right now sort of in testing, so bear with me. This is the environment details view of what a specific environment that's deployed in LCS looks like. And when you go to maintain, you'll see a lot of these options that you do for actually managing updates that comes through. So for example, in your onboarding phase, when we were talking about actually managing your data phase, where we were talking about the golden configuration scenario, we now have this ability where you can import a backpack from your asset library. So if you have your one-box environment and you want to move this to your sandbox, you can actually go ahead and select your backpack and then acknowledge and go ahead and import. And it's going to go ahead and import that into your sandbox environment. And this is something that right now is in test, and hopefully we'll release it in production in the October timeframe. Now that you've done your golden configuration, you've set up, you've gone live, the other data scenarios that we spoke about was around sandbox refresh, right? So in that case, it's right here. You have the ability to refresh your database. So I can go ahead and click on refresh database. I'm not going to kick off some of these operations because that's going to take some time. So just going to show you where they're triggered from. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my source environment. I'm going to select whether I want my financials reporting database actually refreshed or not, and then acknowledge just some of the legal terms, and then hit submit at the end of it. And what that's going to do is actually going to take a copy of your production data as of now, and then move it into your sandbox. As I mentioned earlier, one of the features or feedback has been that I want to move a specific point in time of that production environment into sandbox, but that is something that we're still working on, and it's not there yet. But this is something that will be self-serve really in the initial release of October, actually. The other thing that I wanted to show you guys was also how do you go ahead and apply updates. And in the asset library in LCS is where you go ahead and upload your packages. So I'm going to go into the project and the asset library. And once you've actually created your software deployable packages in asset library is where you come and actually go ahead and upload it. So as you can see, we do some validation. So it actually marks some of the packages as valid. You can actually go ahead and merge the packages if you want. You can import a package from another asset library. And let's assume you've actually gone ahead and uploaded your package out here. So I can go back into my sandbox environment. I'm going to click on maintain. I'm going to hit apply updates. And it's going to show me what are the packages that are valid and that can be applied on this environment. So I'm going to go ahead and select one. And I can go ahead and trigger apply at this point. For production, it'll actually just show you a very filtered list based on packages that have been successfully applied on your sandbox and package that you've actually marked as a release candidate, something that you want to move to production. So the other scenario that I wanted to actually quickly show you was also the rollback flow. So in case your package application fails, you have a couple of options. You have the ability to you have the option to resume. So this is sort of an environment where we've created the rollback scenario. You have the ability to trigger resume, which would go ahead and actually retry the failed step if it was just a one-off failure and go ahead and continue with the update application. But if not, if you've already tried to resume, it continues to fail and you just need to roll back, you can go ahead and trigger rollback at this point, and it will go ahead and roll back your data as well as your code. And this is now self-serve on your sandbox environments as well through LCS. So with that, sort of want to move into some of the key takeaways for this. LCS is a one-stop shop for managing ALM for your Dynamics 365 implementations. As I mentioned earlier, we have Finance and Operations Enterprise Edition features as well, but we also have Dynamics 365 for retail, Dynamics 365 for talent. And as Microsoft looks into releasing more and more of these modular apps as well as others, we're trying to get this functionality together and have sort of more of a shared admin and an ALM experience for all of these different areas and features. The next key takeaway is having a streamlined update application for cloud as well as on-premise. So when we talk about on-premise, we have sort of this more notion that things are going to be manual there. No, we want to make sure as far as possible and from as much as compliance allows us, we can actually enable some of the features in lifecycle services for you to do your ALM, just have the same modern experience for on-premise as well. The last takeaway is self-serve features and tools for ALM tasks, as we spoke about for business process management, for data movement, and add those capabilities more and more for cloud solutions. So I hope that gives you a good overview and a good view into what is it that we're working on in the next quarter and so on, as well as an overview for folks that didn't know what lifecycle services was before. And with that, I'd like to open it up for Q&A. Yes?
Are you going to enable the features where you could actually schedule an update? I'm talking about the sandbox environment, not production.
So the question is, are we going to enable features where on sandbox environments you can schedule an update? So today the experience is that you can go ahead and click the update and apply now, but versus you want to schedule it at a certain time.
We have a lot of deployments that happens for a lot of systems, and mostly it happens in our organizations.
Okay.
So somebody has to be manually checking it and doing it, right? So
Right.
it can be possible to make it.
Sure. So we're looking at adding a scheduling system for data movement scenarios and stuff. We could possibly look at extending some of that, but I'll take that feedback back.
That would be a really good feature.
Sure. Thank you.
We have a big team doing that. And they spend number of several hours just doing it manually.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. I think there was another question there.
So are there any plans for the production database refresh to the Azure or something? Because most of the customers who were on 2009 or 2012 were creating their BI reports and all those things, accessing that data. And now we have that entity store concept where we can export it and then use the BI part of it. But we faced a lot of problem because that refresh of production database to that entity store, it takes around 10 or 15 hours, and that is not a real-time data for the customers.
So the question is for other, and please use the mics if possible, but the question is are we looking to add functionality where a production database can be moved to some Azure storage?
And then there can be a replication set real-time.
Sure. I can take that feedback back. I don't know of active feature that's happening there at the moment, but definitely something that I can.
There is no such feature, and that's what we are trying to get, whether there is a roadmap for that or not. Because
Sure.
many of the customers who were around 2009, 2012 are directly accessing the production database to get their reports real time.
Okay. So I can definitely send me an email, or I can take your contact and let's sync afterwards. I can get you in touch with the PM for that, and we can get you an answer for sure on the roadmap there. Yes?
What tools do you have for retail environment?
What tools do we have for the retail environment?
Yeah, D365 for retail in terms of managing POS and all of that.
So the functionality, a lot of the ALM functionality that you saw out here is available for retail as well. Specifically about handling, as far as I know, there are no specific tools and features for handling like POS devices and stuff. But again, that's something that I can get back to you on information by syncing with the retail PM for it, if that's okay. Okay.
I have a question over here.
Yes, thanks.
Just wondering, updating the security model for LCS. So user security in that, is there a view to kind of incorporate that with AAD and other similar ways that we access dynamics? Rather than it's kind of cumbersome right now and there's very limited scope in being able to secure anything in there.
So more around having roles and privileges and permissions,
exactly.
right? Instead
Yep.
of 4 generic roles.
Yeah, and also, again, linking it to a security database rather than what's there
Yep.
now, which is, you know, a big question mark.
So that is something I actually didn't have what we have in the roadmap, but not in the immediate one sort of later on, is definitely having more of the AX model of having roles and privileges and letting customers configure at least more custom roles for specific uses that they have. Not so much of configuring it to a security database, but that's something that we can definitely look to and touch base on once we get to that point for sure.
Sure. Specifically around separating production from non-production.
Yep.
Would be a good, good starting point, I guess.
Yeah, that's something that is on the list for sure. Okay. Anything else? Perfect. Thank you so much for attending today. And please do reach out to me and let me know if there are any questions, concerns, feedback, or anything that more that you want to know about. Thank you.